Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, I am thrown all the way off today, man. I left the house not really knowing where I was going, as I often do sometimes, seeing where the day takes me. I ended up downtown, decided not to do the Hollywood thing. So I went downtown, went to Target to try to get some apples, and they didn't have the apples that I like. So I'm like, alright. On the way into the Target, some girl stopped me. She told me she was homeless, and she asked me if I was first she started asking me a bunch of questions, like how you doing type stuff. Then she asked me if I was a caretaker, and I started realizing she had an issue. Like, I could tell she was a little off. And then she asked me if I had somebody, like she was trying to get at me. And I'm like, I'm single at the moment. Like, she was like, I need somebody to take a chance on me. I'm homeless. Will you be my boyfriend? I'm like, you're a very sweet girl, but that's not something that you just do off the street. I like knowing the people I'm dealing with. You know, that's not how I do things. And she was nice about it. I understand, but she was real sad. I'm like, don't feel down. You know what I mean? I'm just a different kind of person. I'm sure you'll find what you're looking for. So that was one of my moments today. But after I got out of the Target, I'm like, I'll go back to Hollywood. And I got on the train. There was a dude who asked me, he was like, does this train go to Pico? I'm like, I think so, yeah. And then I realized after the door closed, hell no, this shit don't go to Pico. The one he wanted to go to was upstairs, going to either the blue line or the yellow line. So at that point, I'm like, oh man, this dude gonna be mad as hell at me when he find out this thing gonna go to Pico. So what I decided to do is get off the train on the next stop. I'm like, nah, because I don't know exactly where it is, but I know this ain't the right train. And so I don't know what type of energy this dude got. So let me just get the hell off the train before he realizes going that way. I probably should have told him, like, hey, you're going the wrong way. But I think he figured it out because he got off at the same time I did. So I'm like, I don't know if this dude gonna be ready to fight when he find out I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. But I thought it did go to Pico when I told him that. But the door closed right after that, and I realized, hell no, the one that goes to Pico was a yellow line upstairs. I probably should have played that much smoother, but the way I was thinking was he could get off at the very next stop and just walk a couple blocks to Pico. But I don't think that's what he had in mind. I think he wanted the Pico station. So whatever the case was, I was like, let me just get off and try to avoid the awkwardness of having to tell this brother that he's going to have to pay for a train going elsewhere. You know what I mean? I should have handled it better. So that wasn't my strongest moment. But I got off the train at Westlake and MacArthur Park, and then just turned on the phone and started doing a Laker video, NBA video you can check out. And I walked back to the train station I had just gotten on from. Just walked like 20 minutes for no reason. Back to 7th and Metro from Westlake and MacArthur Park. So that was a nice little walk. Then when I got to 7th and Metro, there was a lady down there screaming her head off. All kinds of demonic energy flying out of her. Just growling and all types of stuff. So I'm keeping my eye on her just for her to get on the same train I'm getting on, in the same box that I'm getting on. So it's like, oh Lord, I got this person here. So I'm paying attention to her, and ended up getting off on the wrong station at Universal, a station before North Hollywood. So I'm like, man, I have completely thrown off. I don't know what the hell I'm doing today, but I did not feel like myself. So I ended up waiting there for the train to come, and it came, now I'm here at North Hollywood where I'm supposed to be. But all types of detours, unnecessary detours. Not my strongest day. But yeah, man, I just want to be honest about that. Got a very strange day. God has blessed me though. Hopefully that brother gets where he's going. But it was a strange vibe, making me think, like, if I tell this brother that I didn't know where I was sending him, he probably gonna want to fight. That was the type of energy he had. He either gonna want to fight or this could get ugly. And I'm like, man, it was just a simple mistake. I honestly thought this thing went to Pico until I realized there's no Pico station on this one, but there is a Pico yellow line. So my thinking was, yeah, he can get to Pico, as I already mentioned, but it's not probably the station he's looking for, and it's probably miles away from where he actually needs to be. So I'm like, ah, damn, it's gonna be a situation. But yeah, man, apologize to that brother if you ever see this video, man. That was my bad. I probably should have just told you something, but I played it the way I played it, man, trying to keep the peace. Figured you figured it out, and I know you did. So hopefully you get where you're going. But yeah, that's my thinking, man. Just wasn't really sharp today. I woke up at 5 in the morning. Ain't been asleep since, so I'm yawning the whole time. You know, it's just one of those days, man. I ain't have it. I didn't have my thinking cap on. I didn't have nothing to write about myself today. But still a lot of day left. It's only like 2 o'clock, so I'm gonna try to go home and figure myself out from here. Still didn't get my apples, but I can wait. I got enough. You know what I'm saying? This is time to go home at this point. But yeah, man, that's the kind of day I've had. A lot of energy, a lot of weird energy, man. A lot of attracting the wrong things. That's basically what I'm here to say. You know what I mean? So I don't know what kind of day this is. I can go out the house, get on the train, go all the way to the ends of the earth and back, and not have the kind of day I've had just in the last 3 hours. It was very strange, man. And I was thinking to myself, this is really sad with this lady, because, you know, most people she walk up to in this situation, you know, they probably not gonna handle her right. They're gonna take advantage of her, like literally. And they're gonna really, you know, that's what I was thinking, like, man, this ain't right. She's basically offering herself to me so she can have somewhere to stay. And she had never met me before. Like, she didn't know me from anybody. She just walked up to a random person. I'm like, yo, this is bad. Like, this is bad. So I kind of felt a little distracted by that whole thing. Just thinking about how that went, you know, thinking, man, if she would have ran into the wrong energy, that could have went so many different ways, man. Like, she really needed a lot of help, and I didn't know where to send her. I didn't have nothing, you know what I mean? But yeah, so hopefully, you know, I think the moral of the story is mental health isn't given much respect out here in this state. They closed all the mental health hospitals, as we talked about many times. And there's a lot of people out here who really need help, man. Like that lady who was screaming and hollering, like the girl who approached me. You know, these people are not well, like literally. And they're not getting the help they need. And it could be bad for whoever, them or someone else that they're dealing with. You know, that lady that was screaming and hollering, that was a different type of demon coming out of her. People were walking by and she was saying things to them that were, you know, fighting words. And then would continue growling and screaming like this complete devil inside of her. And that was intense. I'm not gonna lie, she was pretty intense. Just like, cause she was a black lady, but the voice that came out of her did not sound like a woman. It sounded like a demon, like a man demon in her voice. It's exactly what it sounded like. I was like, yo, that is some serious torment. That was a possession if I've ever seen one. If I've ever seen a possession, that's exactly what that was. So I didn't quite take my eye off of that person, and because of it, I ended up getting off of the wrong stop. But, you know, that's just what it is, man. That's the kind of day I've had. Not my proudest, but I'm thankful I'm still kicking. And, you know, just want to tell people, don't play things like I did, man. Give people the right stuff, and if you get it wrong, let them know. You know what I mean? That's really what it is. That was not what I should have done in regards to that brother there. But the way I saw it was, his energy was giving off something that I didn't really feel like dealing with, to be honest with you. You know, he had a certain vibe about him, made me understand that, you want to get it right the first time with this dude, or you might have to defend yourself against this person. So my thinking was, let me just remove myself from the situation, rather than telling him, hey man, guess what? You want to be back where we were at, upstairs, and you have to pay for that. Like, they're going to make you pay for that. That's what I should have done. That would have been a realer version of myself. But, yeah, man, I don't know, just looking forward to improving upon my day from here. And, you know what I'm saying, letting God guide whatever's next. Accepting whatever karma comes from not doing that the right way. Because that's how that works sometimes. But, yeah, man, it's a pretty hot day for what we've been used to. It's not hot in comparison to the days we were talking about in the summertime. But I'd say it's about 80 degrees, 83 degrees, which is actually very warm considering that we've had some 49-degree mornings. You know, it gets as cold as 50 degrees in my room. So that's North Hollywood for you, man. Always extreme temperatures, no matter what's going on. Always extreme temperatures. You know, in the spirit of trying to do something right, I guess we could talk about what's going on in Gaza, man, because, well, this ain't actually in Gaza. I think this happened in Amsterdam or something like that, but a bunch of Israeli, pro-Israeli individuals, I think they were Zionists from that specific country. They went to a football game / soccer game, and I guess it's a big game going on out there, maybe some type of championship or something. But they went out there and they were singing pro-Israeli songs in regards to this genocide. And I guess they pulling taxi drivers out of their cars and beating them up and vandalizing property in the name of Israel and all of that. And they ended up having a lot of them get beat up. They got attacked by some of the locals who were pro-Palestine. And, you know, it's a lot of footage of guys. You know, they found this one IDF soldier. They traced him back to actual, you know, genocide, a dude that actually was doing some stuff. And then they beat him up and made him say free Palestine. And there was another situation where they were beating the hell out of a dude in the middle of the street. I guess he was a pro-Israeli guy who had done something he had no business doing or what have you. But like, this is what we were talking about in regards to what they can expect. You guys like to travel a lot. You Zionists and pro-Israeli people, you like to travel a lot, and you think you're entitled to be able to support what you feel in the presence of other people. What you're going to find out is you have very little support. With those who know what you've done, they're not going to be kind to you. And this is what I've alluded to. I think that everywhere they travel, now they have to worry about somebody doing something, treating them like this. You know what I mean? It's going to get to a point where it's probably in their best interest not to let people know what they support unless they're ready to defend themselves. Actually, that's literally what it is. Because the way people see it is you're celebrating that for which is killing innocents. Now, you don't see it that way if you're a Zionist. And that you don't see it that way is extremely unfortunate for yourselves and for the people you're doing it to. But nevertheless, there's a lot of us who've been paying a lot of attention to this. We've seen the dead bodies. We've seen the babies. We've seen the crying. We've seen the screaming. And we've seen all of it, the carnage, the destruction. We don't approve. You know, we don't approve. Regardless if you think you have an ironclad reason for doing it and you were raised to believe that this is just and all of this and people don't see it that way. And so when you go out, you got to understand that you're going to get the energy that comes without the understanding that you believe you have. You don't look like you in the mirror. You don't look the way you do in the mirror to us. You know, you see someone that's righteous. You see a chosen ones. You see individuals that are you know, whatever the word would be, not treated properly. That's not what the world sees when they see you, Zionist Israel supporter. So that's really what the world is for you now. You're going to have to understand that for every bit of supporting what it is that you support in regards to this genocide and hurting people in your own name, the more you're going to find out that people are going to want to attack you for that belief. And that's just the reality of it. So as a result of that situation, from what I understand, Israel said they were going to send some fighter jets or something like that toward Amsterdam. I don't know what they're doing. Essentially going to try to rescue some of their football fans from those circumstances. And they call it a pogrom, which is basically a different word for saying inciting riots with the intent of hurting innocent people, or inciting what is otherwise a genocide. It's another word for genocide. And essentially they were saying that's what the Amsterdam natives had done to them, was igniting a pogrom against the Jews, the peaceful Jews, which is obviously not what they were acting as. They weren't peaceful at all. What was reported was that they were being downright horrible toward those people in the name of what it is you support. You know, vandalizing stuff, beating people up, running as mobs, pulling Palestinian flags off of businesses and stuff like that. And you ended up getting what comes with that. But just like we always say, you know, those who believe they have a right to do whatever and that anybody does anything to them in response is wrong, you know, that's kind of how they behave. That's how they act, as if they've been wronged as if what they've done holds no consequence to anyone else and that they shouldn't have any problem with it. And that's just not the real world, man. That's not how people are going to behave. Now, if you want to lash out in response to people not coinciding with that, then that's what you're just going to do. But don't expect people to go along with that outright. Nobody's going to do that. So that is what it is that ultimately they found out in that country. You do that stuff, you're going to hurt people and act like you have a right to do so, and that no one has a right to have any defense against that or feel a way about that or whatever the case may be. You think people are going to allow that to be the case? They won't. They won't. What you end up finding out is that people are willing to attack in regards to those circumstances. They will do whatever they feel is going to defend their honor, and then most importantly, they're going to have the thoughts of all of the evidence that we've seen across the world in regards to what you've done there in Palestine and Israel. In regards to taking the land from the people know the history now, because they were more than curious about why you were killing these people off. More than curious about why you're doing this to these people, and a lot of people have done their homework. So we know this took place in 1948. We know y'all had plans of doing this back in 1899. It took almost 50 years to enact a plan that you already had in place to take the land. You know what I mean? We know you're going to behave as if you have no sense of why people would react negatively to that behavior. We understand all of these things, and we're ready to hold you accountable. We're ready to hold you accountable for allowing yourself to become out of control. That's the reality of it. So Israel, Jewish, Zionists, you have to understand that the world is intent on making you pay for killing so many innocent children and destroying so many innocent lives and destroying an entire environment where people were really living peaceful, if not for the imprint of your intentions upon them for so long. And so, a lot of us are from places where that's already happened. You look at South Africa, you look at America, treating people poorly because of their differences has been something that these countries have already been through. So when you see that behavior in 2024, a lot of people are triggered by that. It's not just, we feel sorry for who it happened to. We're remembering what happened to us. And that's also an element that you have to defend against if that's what you're going to uphold. So, there's a lot of people that believe in what they're doing. They don't have a problem with seeing Palestinian children slaughtered and all different types of horrible things like that. But the reality is that's not the world we're in. There are a lot more people who have a real problem with it, and they're going to let their voice be heard in regards to it. And whatever comes with that, they're willing to take on the chance. So I'm one of those people. I believe in Palestinian freedom and freedom for all people. I don't pride myself on celebrating other people's suffering or beating people up or whatever. But, if you don't start, nothing won't be nothing at the end of the day. So I believe that moving forward in the path of genocide and thinking that it's okay to harm people, I think that's a poor thing to do, man. It's a poor thing to try to uphold if you're looking for peace, if you're looking for safety, if you're looking for respect, if you're looking for people not to attack you, if you're looking for the right to stand on what it is you believe in. Let that not be what you believe in, regardless of what it says in a book, or regardless of what your ancestors may have thought was righteous for what life they were living or what have you in the past. If you're going to go forward with the intention of harming other people for whatever reason, then there's going to be a natural reaction to that, and a certain studying of what it is you're doing to make sure that we can get behind it if at all. If people looked into the history of what was going on with the Israelis and the Palestinians and saw something that they could get with, so to speak, something that they can get behind, they would. Israel would have a lot more support if we looked into the history of what they were doing and saw righteousness. They would love to paint out the people who are pro-Palestine as individuals who haven't done their homework, but I think the reality is it's the complete opposite. We are people who have done our homework. We are people who are tapped into some of the people on the ground out there. We have Instagram, we have TikTok, and it's allowing us to communicate with people who are dealing with those circumstances as they're dealing with them. So the stories that you want to tell about whether or not you have a right to do this, or that you're a victim, or that someone's doing a pogrom against you, or the blood libel, or whatever these key code words that are exclusive to your people being treated poorly. When we look into the history and we look into the details of what it is that's happening there, we don't see that. What we see is you wanting to do whatever you want to these people and demanding that nobody react to it in a way that is natural to react to that behavior. Your lies have been shown to all of us. Your denial and a lack of accountability has been exposed to everybody. So as you go forward crying wolf about you being genocided against in a way that, is considered a pogrom or whatever words you want to use, we see the truth that you deny. And that's really what it comes down to. So eventually they're going to have to understand that they can't maneuver in a world that wills the world to be what they want it to be. They can't. You can control everything, you can own everything, you can change a bunch of laws to try to silence a bunch of people, but you still have to look at the looks of the people looking at you, saying, not only are you doing all these evil things that you want to silence us about, but you're also trying to silence us in the process. The world still becomes dangerous for you either way. There are not enough laws and not enough armies in the world to protect you from the accountability that ultimately comes from behaving as if you're greater than everyone else and imposing violence upon people as you see fit, without consequence. It doesn't work. And that's what they're going to find out. And the more and more they go into the streets, the more and more they try to go into vacation, the more and more they get away from the land that they've secured for themselves, the less safe they're going to find themselves, each and every one of them. That's the reality of it. You've traumatized all of us with this genocide. You've traumatized everybody, not only your genocide, but your intentions to control all of us by way of what it is you own. There's a lot of resentment that's attached to the fact that we can't seem to boycott you effectively because you own so much. That we've been taught since we were young that we can't even say anything about you, that you're above reproach, that everything we do in holding you accountable makes us a hateful entity toward you. That creates the resentment without the presence of genocide. That creates the resentment without the presence of apartheid. So it's like you're asking for it, Israel. You're asking for it, Zionist Jew. When you wield your power in ways that create resentment and then cry wolf in the presence of it all, saying that you've been treated poorly or provoking people to treat you poorly so you can justify those labels, you create the hate that you ultimately are trying to manifest in your lies. You create the anti-Semitism toward you that ultimately you cry is already in place. And with that comes a certain pain that you're not feeling. That's the elephant in the room. If you were being treated the way that you cry you're being treated, you wouldn't have a voice from which to say these things because you're too busy getting muscled by those who are trying to stop you from existing. You cry as if people want to kill you for you being you, but you actually don't know what that feels like. Not in the way that you're going to if you keep going on the path you're going. And so that's why I'm telling people, those who are Jewish, actual Jewish people who don't believe in Zionism, it's really important that your voice be loud. And a lot of you haven't had a loud voice in regards to not supporting this, but you need to see it as something that continues, because if you slow down, these people are going to continue to hide behind you, and it's going to be hard to tell who's who. And a lot of people are not going to care. They're going to see your yarmulke and they're going to associate it with genocide. And that's unfair to you. They're going to be digging into your history, trying to find out all the things that ultimately are in your circumstance, and maybe you may not, who knows? Like, there are good Jewish people who believe in righteousness and love and support, and believe in freedoms and upholding of peace and upholding of balance and humanitarian and animal rights and all these different things that are that make for a peaceful world. It's a lot of Jewish people that don't deserve to have a magnifying glass placed upon everything they believe in because of what the Zionists have done in their name. You know, and I've come to respect that and appreciate that. But that's exactly what's coming. People are going to be digging into a lot of things, and a lot of things are going to be revealed about not only the Zionist Jews, but about people from Judea as well. Good people. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, this is going to get real ugly. It's going to get real ugly, man. And that's what I want people to understand who are paying attention to me to know. Like, when this conversation first started, I didn't know there was a difference between Zionists and Jews. I thought it was one and the same. And I wasn't sure who to resent. But at this point, I have a better understanding of that. But in the presence of that understanding, I think there's still some secrets that have yet to be revealed about the good Jews in regards to their heritage and where they come from. There's a lot to be understood. That movie, Hebrews to Negroes, showed us some things that wasn't what people wanted us to know. And it wasn't Zionists they were referring to, it was Jewish people, the ones that we know today, where they're from, where they're not, etc. And so these are the type of things. It's like, look, man, good people are going to get swallowed up in this. Righteous people, loving people are going to have some bad things revealed about them if they've been living in some ways that ain't right. You know, people are going to be digging into your history, you know what I'm saying? Because of what the Zionists have done, man. People are going to be trying to figure out who you related to. Are you really the chosen people? Are you really who you say you are? Or are we going to start finding out some things that aren't best to know for the betterment of who you are too? That's why it's so important, in my opinion. If you are a person who is Jewish, you really need to be loud, man. You need to be loud. You need to start telling us that these people are not you, continuing to spread that. Educate those of us who don't know why we should care about this. And if you're not willing to do that, then brace for a different world you're going to be in going forward, where respect comes hard, humanity comes differently, and anti-Semitism becomes a real thing. Not something that people are pretending is more prevalent, but something that is actually going to be represented, and the resentment reflected in the natural reaction to genocide and people just flat out controlling things in a way that doesn't leave room for people to get everything that they need outside of those groups. And so that's really what it is, man. I don't wish for anything bad for Jewish people, not good Jewish people, not people who don't support genocide. I actually like to see them stay in a space where they want to be. But I have a strong feeling that it's going to get a lot harder for them. A lot harder for them than they ever deserved it to be. BDL 44, I thank you all for watching.